my brothers. So they told us that wealth was locked behind boardroom doors that we would never enter. That freedom was preserved for the privileged, the connected, and the already rich. But let me tell you something, that was a lie. See, we are the generation that's rewriting the rule book. See, we don't need $1 million fund. We don't need a landlord's permission. But what we do need is a blueprint, y'all. That's exactly what I'm about to lay down. This is Airbnb Pro Tips, and I am your host, Earl McCray. Every week, we're breaking down real game from real entrepreneurs on how to launch, automate, and scale that Airbnb business. We're giving you the strategies, the money moves, and the mindset shifts that will separate those from the dreams from those who are executing on those dreams. Here, we celebrate the wins, both big and small. Here, we talk to real entrepreneurs, the one that took action and changed their lives. Here, we're giving you the blueprint so that you can stop watching and start building. So, if you're ready to tap into your God-given ability to turn knowledge into passive income, to create a system that works for you instead of you working for it, hey, welcome home. This is where transformation begins. This is where faith meets execution. This is where you level up your Airbnb game. This is Airbnb Pro Tips. All right, episode 70, Airbnb Pro Tips. All right, let's get into it, my people. Let's get into it. All right, let me turn on the mic. Let me turn on my camera. All right, good people. Yes, we are back for another installment of the Pro Tips. All right, I hope you guys have a good week, man. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks you and me haven't spoke. Dante, I believe it's been about a week or two as well. How the family's doing, guys?
Everything's good. I was actually traveling recently. I went to Seattle, so I'm finally back in Florida. So
Blessing, man. I'm glad you had safe traveling graces, man, to and from. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well on this end, Earl. This you know my situation. Back
Yeah,
up in DC.
Yeah, man.
Juggling that schedule.
Yeah, man. Stuck in traffic, trying to
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, that's why we here, man. We're here so we can for lack of better words, create this passive pearl streams of income. So we have options that our parents and grandparents didn't have. And so our kids and grandkids will have options that we didn't have. So there it is. I've said it. All right.
Yes.
All right. So hey, as our tradition is, I've selected some items in the news cycle that have direct bearing on our short-term rental business slash Airbnb business. And then, depending on time, we have had a very late start. I apologize. I literally was telling Dante we had a same day booking a half hour ago. And I'm not complaining, I'm telling you, I appreciate it. But I had to run up there and update this particular property, I have not completely gotten into the smart locks, which I need to. So I like to make the last 4 digits of the code align with the person's mobile number. So I got to figure that out. I got a property manager that's going to handle that while me and the boys and Yvonne are in Hawaii with Duran Bethea, but for today it's on me. So I'm a little late. So we may not get to everything in the agenda, but I promise I want to make sure I spend time on marketplace questions, because you guys have been blowing me up in the text thread, and I want to honor that. So we might jump around a little bit. So I thought these were pretty relevant topics for the news cycle. So let me jump into it. Let me jump into it. Right. All right. So here's what I found. I found a couple articles that align with where we are in our cycle. We came out of the low season and quarter one, transitioning to the mid season in quarter two. Now we're at the end of quarter two. We're officially getting ready to ramp into high season in the Northeast, where most of us are located. That being said, here are some suggestions for the summertime. We're going to listen to the link, and I'm going to have my panel of experts chime in to give their 2 cents. So that with that being said, let's jump into the link. Let's go.
And I think planning first starts with data. Even using Price Labs, starting there, you can curate and create a really good comp set locally down to what types of properties are your competition and what's going on with them in your area. Because I think even down to almost zip code to zip code, things can change. And so understanding for the seasons coming up, what does your competitor calendars look like? What are properties that are performing very well in your area? What do they look like? Are their bookings up? Are they down? Are their ADRs higher than last year or not? And I think using that data to first kind of create benchmarks for your plan to see, are we even on track, or do we need to adjust our plan to try to maximize what's coming for summer is where I want to start. I think then moving into after pricing kind of availability, and since we all know that summer has much higher demand, it's more likely that people are also staying longer. If you typically have minimum nightly stays of 2 or even 3 on weekends, I think you can get away with upping that to 3, maybe even 4 nights sometimes. While you might be attracting a smaller group of people, there still is a much larger overall group of people looking to stay at those time frames. And so when you can capture more nights and get higher occupancy, well, along with higher rates, I think that can be a really good move for you. Even when it comes to listing content, understanding that it's summertime, moving and shifting some of your summer amenities and things like that to the front of your listing. One of the things that we do, we have a pool at some properties, and so we move those to the very front of the listing photos during the summer. But of course, we don't want to do that during the winter time because that's not that big of an upsell. So I think adjusting your listing content can be something that really helps you plan. And I think planning first starts with data, even using price.
Okay, let's talk about that, shall we? What was your takeaway? Let's start with you, OC. What was your takeaway from that news clip?
Oh well, so you would be glad to know, Earl, I did turn Price Labs on.
My man.
I did turn Price Labs on, and I also had a conversation with one of the agents there who helped me get set up. So it was amazing to see that understanding what the competition is doing out on the market, and how that with Price Labs it automatically adjusts to the market, and you can set your highs and lows on it. But however, comma, I was leaving a lot of money on the table, leaving a lot of money on the table. So I'm definitely it's a good opportunity to maximize your profits.
Yvonne says, "Hi, OC."
Hey, Yvonne, I see you got your hula on, ready to go.
Indeed, indeed. Dante, what was your takeaway, my brother?
Honestly, it's just about adapting to the new season and taking full advantage of that so we could increase our earnings to the most potential that we can. So that's really what I took from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, one of the gems I want to drop on anybody that is checking us out on social media, be Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. If you haven't done so, go ahead and get your summer photos moved to the front of that listing. If you don't have summer photos, go out there and get it done. Get photos of that outdoor furniture or that fire pit, or if you're blessed to be in an area with a amenity such as a pool or that hot tub, put that in the front of the listing so the guests are seeing that. And then update the titles as well, especially to double time on the seasonality. Now I'm not sure if you guys got this, but I did hear this. It was said that, even though you might be drawing a smaller pool of people because the demand is so much greater, go ahead and increase your nightly stays one day. So we normally do a minimum of a 2-day nightly stay. So now my brain is turning. Why not try to increase it to 3 days? Okay. That will, as OC talked about, that will mitigate how much money we are leaving on the table. So that was real good. Real good. All right. So let's go to article number 2 here. Article number 2. The value of communication. The value of communication. Oh, like this. Go back one slide. Go back one slide. Nope, it's not working for me. I love when my technology wants to not cooperate. That's why AI will never eliminate human beings, y'all. AI will never, I said it. OC, I said it. AI will never eliminate human beings. All right.
Right.
All right, here we go. Value of communication.
Having had sort of 10 years of running property management short-term rentals in Scotland, which is renowned for its very unstable weather, especially across the summer months. To be fair, we've never actually reduced a price because of bad weather, because what we find is people in Scotland will book well ahead of the game for summer holidays, and a lot of people who will just come knowing that, well, it could be bad, doesn't matter, we still want to go, we want the area and everything that it offers. But what I would say is, I think a lot of it is to do with how proactive you can be to keep your guests up to date with what might be happening. So for me, communication is key here. There's 3 things you can put in properties just to try and help guests should there suddenly be bad weather. You can put things.
Check this out.
Having had sort of 10 years of running property management short-term rentals in Scotland, which is renowned for its very unstable weather, especially across the summer months. To be fair, we've never actually reduced a price because of bad weather, because what we find is people in Scotland will book well ahead of the game for summer holidays, and a lot of people who will just come knowing that, well, it could be bad, doesn't matter, we still want to go, we want the area and everything that it offers. But what I would say is, I think a lot of it is to do with how proactive you can be to keep your guests up to date with what might be happening. So for me, communication is key here. There's 3 things you can put in properties just to try and help guests should there suddenly be bad weather. You can put things to do on a rainy day into the house manual. You can provide some umbrellas there if they don't think about bringing it. You can tell them where to buy things for wet weather if they need to. But I think for a lot of guests, that the expectation when they go on holiday is, yeah, we're going to have a great time. We'll be able to go to outdoor festivals if we want, or an outdoor event. But that doesn't always happen. So I think for me, communicating with them, because I think if you live in Scotland, you're obsessed with the weather anyway. You're always watching the weather. You're always on to see what weather's like. And I know certainly from a property manager's point of view, when you see a bad week in July coming up, you can't, it's your first thing is, oh gosh, right, check the weather. Oh, we've got rain coming this week or whatever's happening. I think as well looking at your location you're at. Now, I've been in a location where our properties are only accessible by a ferry. So, of course, that can be affected really badly with bad weather, which means cancellations. People can't get off the island. They can't leave the properties. They can't get to the properties. And it can cause an awful lot of stress. So, for us, it's a very much a case of keeping an eye on what the ferries are doing, keeping an eye on the weather, contact your guests, let them know, because quite often they're not thinking about the weather when they're on holiday, and that's up to you to do. So I think when you've got that local knowledge, you know what's happening around about, you know what's going to affect people, keep in contact with them, give them their support, be proactive in your messaging. If you're putting messages out there to let them know, we see this weather's coming, you're due to come and stay, bring your waterproofs, do this, give them advice what they can do so that they're not put off by it, but actually they can still come.
Check this out now. It's the gospel version, so don't get all that in your head. Go get it out. It's the gospel version. Change your mind.
Okay, my technology is buggy. All right, feedback time, gentlemen. Feedback time. Dante, once we start with you, what you're thinking?
So I like the fact that she mentioned accommodations when it comes to communication, because communication is key. And depending on what area the B&B is located at, sometimes the weather can be tricky. Like, I'm in Florida, so in Florida sometimes it'll rain out of the blue and then it'll be sunny later. Like, it's very
Facts.
unpredictable. So I
Facts.
definitely understand her point of view. And it's dope that she even mentioned on your listing itself, include those accommodations as well. And then reach out to the guests. If you do suspect a change of weather, and let them know, like, hey, unfortunately it is going to be raining. However, these are some of the things you can do. So I like the fact that she really like talked about the accommodation part of the communications.
Solid. Solid. OC.
Yeah, I totally agree with Dante on that. Communication is pretty much the meat of your business. I mean, if you're not communicating, and it's not just the weather. I like the fact that she did advise of the weather, but it's everything communication. I mean, we found that even when our properties were under some sort of maintenance, that would normally be a disruption to the clients because we communicated that way ahead of schedule to let them know either, maintenance is going on, the extermination will be in, or whatever the case may be. They appreciated that, which didn't affect your ratings in a negative way. So communicate. I think it's better to what we would consider over communicate than lesser communicate. So definitely agree with Dante on that. Good piece.
OC, I had a flash when I was listening to it, I had a flashback. Remember when you and I were co-listing that property in Rochester, and we had all of our places were expecting to see that amazing eclipse about a year ago?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And what happened? We had overcast. So we had
Right.
all of this excitement in the air, and many people in our area didn't really get what they expected. What made me think, what if, I don't think we got any negative ratings. I think we were pretty, but like just hearing her out, what I would have done in retrospect is I would have basically been, okay, uh 2 days before the countdown, this is what the weather is expected. One day before the countdown. So when we actually had the eclipse and everybody was overwhelmed, at least from like a host perspective and accommodation perspective, we were value add. I'm like,
Like,
okay.
do you think that would have added more value to the experience?
I think the perception from the guests, because perception is everything. I think that the guests would have been like, man, these hosts were really attentive, they were really responsive, and they went over and above. And literally, how hard is it to pull up the weather app on your smartphone? Especially for something like that. Like, people specifically came into our area just to see that eclipse. And Dante,
Right, right.
I don't know how it was for you in Florida, a year ago in April around the eclipse. Was there a big buzz in your market around that?
No, honestly, because my market was in Davenport, which is by Orlando, like, Disney World and all that. So to my understanding, nobody was like hyped or anything like that.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, I mean, I said overall, if you treat communication as, and we already think about it as a essential part of the job, but just like we provide recommendations for restaurants and eateries and places to go, the weather, who would have thought? Or let's go a little further. What if we have like road conditions or some sort of construction that's in and around your spot?
Mhm.
Value add.
Yeah,
Value add.
that's a value add. Some things I probably would probably it'll be a nicety to have. But just imagine if you're managing 35 different properties, and these properties are in your area. They have such an event like that. I would expect that to be a little tasking to to get that into all 35 listings, unless you're using some type of AI automation to push that in. So I would probably use balance on that, because I think something like the eclipse, that's a big deal for people. I think they was gonna have their eye on the weather anyway, because it's such a big deal.
Facts. No, facts.
But
Yeah, I agree with that.
definitely the construction piece, yeah, absolutely. And we had that, I think, with your one of the properties over at the lesser property we used to call it.
Yeah, right. Lewis, my son's property. Absolutely.
Right.
I actually, when we get to the segment of crazy guest interactions, ooh, I got a story there. But we're not at that segment. Okay. Here's the final thing I wanted to showcase for this particular news cycle. As you guys are firmly aware, Airbnb is offering a new thing. So when you go to the Airbnb app, there's three icons now. There's the accommodation icon, there's the experience icon, and now there's the services icon. So the question is, what does Airbnb services mean to host and property managers moving forward? So let's take a look at this clip.
You don't want me to be a chef at your vacation rental. Well, would you want Airbnb to send a chef at your vacation rental without you knowing? A chef that your guests would book on Airbnb from the Airbnb services category. You would not know about this booking. You would not know what the chef is doing. You're not even getting a cut out of this. This is how a lot of people, vacation rental managers, are seeing Airbnb services right now. Let's talk frankly about what this is about, why you should worry or not worry, and how this would probably improve in terms of services. Let's talk about Airbnb services. And as my partners say, nobody wants to eat my own food, but hopefully you will learn something from my videos, which tastes usually a bit better. So what are Airbnb services, and what can you find right now in terms of offers there? Well, Airbnb services are a brand new set of bookable on-demand offerings. Think private chef, spa treatments, massages, trainers, and more, available right inside short-term rentals, and in some cases, even in the guest's own home. What I mean is that even if you are staying in your own city, you can book your services. They're not Airbnb experiences, right, which are often off-site or group-based. With Airbnb services, vetted pros can come straight to your property, often during.
But I do want to, make sure there is clarity. So the services are on site in your property, while the experiences, quote unquote, are typically off site. All right. So let's continue with the video.
During a guest stay. Right now, in major cities like San Francisco, the selection is actually still slim. I've seen only a handful of chefs, trainers, and spa pros, and with prices at the premium end, something like over $150 per person for private dining. But what's the long-term goal here? Well, the goal is to make Airbnb the go-to app for booking services, whether you're a traveler or local, and not just when you stay somewhere new, right? Airbnb wants you to start using Airbnb almost every week, even if you're not traveling. It's really to push for Airbnb's as a brand, lifestyle brand. So why is Airbnb launching Airbnb services? Well, it's part of their strategic push to become more than just a travel brand. They want to be a lifestyle platform that's useful every week, not just on vacation. By offering services like in-home dining, massage, or personal training, Airbnb is moving into territory occupied by apps for on-demand home services and luxury at-home experiences. For Airbnb, this means a higher guest engagement, new revenue streams, and more reasons for users to open the app, even when they're not traveling. For managers, vacational managers, this means Airbnb is focusing less on host manager profit and a bit more on creating a seamless hotel plus experience for guests.
So I want to stop right in the mid part of the clip. It's about a 10-minute clip. So let's dissect the first 5 minutes, and then we'll get into the last 5 minutes. Come off of mute, guys. Tell me what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I like it. I like the idea of the services piece. I didn't even know that was an ad. I do have my North Carolina property on the experience side, which needed an approval to get done. But the services with Airbnb, I tell you what, there's not the Airbnb of the past. You know, they're definitely not the Airbnb of the past. If you look at the listings that's out there, there are all kinds of listings and all kinds of experiences out there. This is just an added value to where Airbnb is going in the future. I think they're being very accommodating to customer desires, and they're trying to make the experience even better. I like what they're doing. I like what they're saying.
Well said. Well said. Dante, what's your thoughts?
It's interesting that the services are actually in the house rather than off-site, like the experiences. I mean, it makes sense because it is like an experience in general, but still, I don't know. I just feel like they need to figure out a way for us to get a cut because ain't no way
Thank
like
you for saying it, because that was in my head. Thank you for giving life to my thoughts.
no problem, man. But that's just how I feel. Like we gotta get a cut in this because we're the ones that are providing the home in the first place. You know.
Hello, hello.
Oh, I missed that part. Did he say we don't get a cut? Oh,
No,
oh
no
no.
cut.
Oh no, no service. I'm in business. No,
All right.
I'm like
Nah,
Dante.
but we're
Thank
we're
you, God.
automatically opt in though. That's the issue.
Well, and the truth of the matter is, in preparation for our call, I was trying to figure out how to opt out, but then I got this same day booking, and I got torn away. So that's going to be what I bring up in our next podcast, because you do have the ability to opt in and opt out. And as I go through my research, let me let you guys listen to the last 5 minutes, and then we can talk more on this. So hang on.
Guests while owning the ancillary revenue. Yeah, because why are some vacation rental managers opting out of Airbnb services? This is why you need to pay attention. They're opting out of Airbnb services because they have no control of visibility over bookings. Yet all the operational risk remains with them in a way. By default, your properties are opted in. Again, by default, your properties listed on Airbnb are opted in to Airbnb services. So guests can invite a chef, massage therapist, or other provider into the space without you or your team being notified. Even more, neither you nor your property owner receives any share of the service fee, even though your property, your electricity, or your kitchenware, the owner's kitchenware, were not being used for the service. In effect, Airbnb and third-party providers profit while you manage the risks, guest expectations, and possibly property wear and tear. Until Airbnb creates a model with shared revenue, or at least better host controls, opting out is, for some property managers, a rational way to protect their business. And here, it's not out of spite, because what are the key risks when allowing Airbnb services and managed properties? Well, again, it's not about being paranoid and not being opposed to changes. That's not really the kind of person I am, if you know me. But I'm always a property owner myself, who does let their guests invite the chef, we usually have our own rules that we vet the chefs ourselves, right? When Airbnb services are allowed, you are now accepting new layers of risk in a way, right? Service providers, people you have not vetted, can access your property, sometimes using your equipment, and you're on the hook for any mishaps. Airbnb does offer a $1 million in experiences and services liability insurance. But this only covers very specific scenarios and may not address all potential damages or legal issues. If, for example, a chef damages the oven or if there's an injury, you could face headaches coordinating between Airbnb's insurance, the service host insurance, your own policy, and your owner's insurance. In buildings where strict rules or HOAs, unauthorized commercial activity could also put your management contracts at risk. It's essential to review your agreements, communicate with the owners, and weigh whether this fits your risk tolerance. As usual, being transparent is best policy. So how can vacation rental managers opt out of Airbnb services? Well, if you want to, and I'm not saying you should, but if you want to, right, then you need to be proactive. There's no simple toggle in your dashboard, so you need to contact Airbnb support directly by message, by phone, using.
There we go. That's what I couldn't figure out. I spent so much time on the app trying to figure out how to opt out, and yet here it is. You got to call customer service directly. You guys tracking?
Tracking.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's a disadvantage for us.
Yep.
clear language to state that you do not permit Airbnb services at any of your listings. Then update your house rules in each listing. Clearly state that no Airbnb services or experiences are permitted on the property, or that any violation could result in a cancellation figure. Keep written records of all communication. Update your owner's agreements needed. If you want to offer your own services like mid-stay cleans, local experiences, private chef, consider setting these up off-platform and promoting them directly to guests. That way you retain control and capture the revenue, rather than giving it away for free. That leads to another question, right? How could Airbnb services evolve to benefit vacation rental managers and owners? Well, many managers see untapped potential in Airbnb services. If only Airbnb allowed hosts and managers to upsell their own curated services within the platform. Imagine being able to list mid-stay cleans, airport pickups, or welcome baskets services you or your trusted local providers already offer directly to guests through Airbnb, with Airbnb maybe taking a reasonable commission. This would empower managers, align incentives, and ensure quality of guests. Even just giving managers the ability to select or curate which third-party services are permitted in their properties would go a long way toward reducing friction and building trust, right? What if I could just curate Airbnb services offered, like, yeah, okay, this person. Airbnb could also improve by integrating with existing property managed PMSs, making it easier to manage guest add-ons. So what's holding back Airbnb services in a way, right? Well, a big reason Airbnb services are currently limited is that onboarding for high-quality providers is slow and complex. As I told you, at the whole point, you want vetted people, right? You have to vet these people. Because Airbnb don't want to send random people in your properties, obviously. But that already reduces the pool of people, and they have to vet them. Also, there are technical issues right now with the onboarding software. Forums are full of feedback about difficulty of joining as a service host. Airbnb could unlock rapid growth and much higher guest satisfaction by partnering again with established service networks that we property managers maybe are already offering, right? Or they could, why not, allow service options entered in a property manager's PMS or third-party tools to appear directly in Airbnb. Imagine you may be using already services through your PMS or third-party software to offer upsells, right? Make money on this. If this could show up in Airbnb, that would be fantastic, right? Why not? I'm not against Airbnb's own curated services, and then the one recommended by the property manager and the owner, right? Along, and give a choice to the user. Making it seamless for managers, ensuring guests see the best local options. So conclusion, Airbnb services represent a bold new direction for the platform, But for vacation rental managers, the real impact comes down to control, risk, and partnership. Until Airbnb makes it easy for managers to participate, profit, and protect their own assets, some will approach with caution. Watch this space, though. If Airbnb gets it right, services could become a genuine win-win for all sides.
All right. Lots to
If you
talk
have a
about.
house,
Lots to talk about. That was pretty meaty. A lot of meat on the bone. Who wants to take a first stab at trying to unpack that?
I'll start. Um, I think the best course of action that Airbnb should take is just taking a small commission if we opt in to allow these services at our home. Just like they already take a small commission for us hosting on the platform itself. I feel like that just makes more sense and everybody will win. I feel like that's the easiest solution for like right now. But besides that, yeah, I just don't agree with it because it's like why are we not thought about first? Like I understand, the customer is always right and we're hosting services to guests and they're putting money in our pocket. However, like we have a voice too and we matter as well. Without us, they don't even have a place to stay. So I just feel like they need to consider us as hosts as well, not just the guests.
I appreciate that. O to the C. Chime in.
Yeah, definitely agree with Dante on that. However, there's a few more things I like to unpack in this. One is that, they did mention there's a certain level of risk that come along with this that's associated with allowing these services on, which Airbnb is only giving you a, uh, pretty much a chalkboard of what they would cover with under that $1 million policy. So, definitely need to be clear on what they would cover and what they wouldn't. The profit sharing is a no. That's not even a thought in my mind. I mean, you should definitely be profit sharing in any business that you're involved in, and any services that are allowed from a profit standpoint. They should be, as Dante mentioned, the host should be thought about first. Um, Definitely agree with that. The last piece I bring out on this subject is that I don't believe that this was a great decision on Airbnb's part to automatically opt all properties into this new services without the consent of their clients, without the Airbnb host. I don't believe that this is something we need to go undo rather than choose ourselves. So I think this was a poor choice on Airbnb's part to activate these services and initiate this in everybody's platform and everybody's property without their consent. So that's my soapbox. I stand on it, and there you have it.
Okay. All right. So, I guess before we move on to the other segment, my unpacking is um I'm not a hater, man. I'm not a hater at all. I respect the game. I am a capitalist. And being a capitalist, I thought this was a gangster move on the part of Airbnb. Yo, think about this. Now, all of us have hosting experience. I mean, collectively, we have probably hundreds of book nights, just thousands of book nights between the three of us. Now, if we were a brand new Airbnb host, our opinion would be like, oh yeah, this gives me more visibility. I'm all about it. We don't even think about the risk reward. But because we got a little bit more miles on the tires, we're thinking about, wait a minute, what's the risk reward? Tons of risk, almost no reward. In fact, I will go on and say this. Based on what I know now, this is gangster for me as a host, because now that I actually have leveraged myself and I have a third party, and maybe we'll unpack this, Dante, next week. I have a third party platform where I can find vendors that I've vetted and then bring those services to my guests. Very similar to what by the way, the name of the platform is called Hostco. And I became familiar with Hostco because one of my mentors in me and Dante's other mentor program, Beth, told me that I can actually have my guests buy renter's insurance. And here's the kicker. If they don't need the insurance, it's a $30 policy that is good for 10 days. If they never use the insurance, no worries. Guess how much I made? Couple bucks. Not biggie, but I made a couple bucks. Why? Because Hostco does profit sharing because you bring in that service to your guests. Knock on wood, right? And if there is an issue, not only do I have the Airbnb opportunity to make sure damage are mitigated, but now I have this other policy. It's like having two dental insurances. That's how I looked at it. But then as I unpacked all of that, Hostco doesn't just stop at the insurance. I could actually bring in these guests the way Airbnb is positioning themselves. And again, guys, I'm a capitalist. I think it's a gangster move what Airbnb is doing. Like, like literally, instead of P. Diddy being on trial, they need to put Airbnb on trial for racketeering. Because most new hosts have no idea how to even opt out because there's no communication on the app or in the profile. Like until, you know, until like 30 seconds ago, I didn't even know how to opt out. I was still trying to research. So I'm not mad at them, but I'm just glad I'm not a new host. All right. All right, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that. Anything else to be said about that before we move on? Anything else to be said?
No,
Beautiful. Dante, you kind of was breaking in and out. We
I
good?
just said, yeah. I just said no, sir. That's all.
Yep. Okay. All right. All right. So any questions for the marketplace that we might be able to tackle? Any questions for the marketplace? I know Cornell had a bunch of questions, yet he didn't pop in today, but we'll get him addressed. All right, no questions for the marketplace.
Not for
Okay.
me.
All right. So let's just unpack some wins. Let's unpack some wins, and then we can call it a day. Any wins for you, Dante?
I just been working on my real estate course right now, and I know I have an upcoming win when we speak tomorrow. So those are my wins.
Okay, good stuff. Sweet. All right. What about you, OC?
Yeah, couple of things. I'm working on a project. I think I talked to you a little bit about it, Earl, which I'm reaching out to a bigger organization that's possibly going to be able to help out with funding for the veterans tiny homes on the property down in Carolina. So I got an email back today from a gentleman that said, let's look forward to a meeting next week so that we can discuss this here in DC. So that whole thing may be a game changer as far as what we're doing down in Carolina. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm present for that. So I won't be moving at all this weekend. Another decision we made, I'll shout it to you in the text, y'all. We made a decision to shut down the Hampton property. Uh, that's uh, um, that's something that you and I talked about as far as the long-term plan. And so after the summer, we was going to shut that down. So I made a decision July 31st to shut that down and take back some we pretty much been we hadn't been in the profit margin on that property in the last, we coming out of low season, so it wasn't a fair assessment for the season. But looking back over yet last year, we made minimum. So I think it's time to make a business decision to shut that down. So I think that's what we put in our revenue
Yeah,
back.
yeah. So I mean, I think that was a very huge decision from the standpoint of evolution. And I mean, if Dante wants to come off of mute and talk about his rental arbitrage experience as well, as most of you guys in social media know, I have I have eliminated all of my rental arbitrage properties aside from one property I have with my JV partner Olivia. But Dante, do you want to just kind of share because you made that transition as well that OC is making?
Yes, I'll share briefly. Long story short, you know, with rental arbitrage, that was my foot into the game. So I'm very grateful for that experience. And it led me to this point. And I learned so much from that. So I don't have anything bad to say when it comes to that. However, it did put me in a lot of business debt. So making this transition to property management was just a no-brainer. And it was seamless to me because we can do the same thing that they do. The only difference is that we're not paying anything out of pocket, and we could have more capital in our business and we could grow exponentially way faster because we're not having to pay utilities and rent and things of that nature. So for the people who do rental arbitrage that are very successful, more props to them. But just me personally, I feel like property management is just my calling, so that's why I ended up just doing that transition. And if I could do it over again, I would have just started with property management. But like I said before, this was my intro to the game with rental arbitrage. So I have no regrets about it.
Amen. Amen.
Good deal. Thanks for
Ditto.
sharing.
Yeah, ditto. Ditto. I'll end with my win. My strategic coach slash nutritionist. Um, Actually, there's a couple things I could share. Um, it's really been coaching me along with my blood pressure. My blood pressure had popped up. It's funny, you and OC and I talked about this. I'm a natural, driven person, ADHD and type A. My blood pressure popped up, and she gave me some recommendation to get that blood pressure down. But she knows I'm although I'll meditate, she knows I'm not the one that's just gonna, oh, universe, bring me to, my manifestation. Always need to feel like I'm actually taking some tangible small steps. So the one thing she encouraged me to do was to take all of the Facebook groups that I had presence in and start marketing my value add. So I want to share with you one of the videos that she approved because again, she's no nonsense. So I for every one video that got approved, three didn't. So just so you guys are aware. So I'm gonna share with you guys. Let me go to my Facebook account and share with you one of the videos that actually made the cut. And that will be a wrap. Okay, so I'm in my Facebook account, go to my groups. Uh okay. I'm in a group called Astro Flipping. That's a group that's designated for business investors who connect um, vacant houses with cash buyers. Um, and some of you may or may not know the model. But let me see if I can really quickly find the video I sent in. And this is a pretty active group, man. So my videos is way to the bottom. Okay, there it is. Let me find it. Here we go. Uh-oh. Positioning and pivoting. Hey, Astro Flipping family, it's Earl McCray. If you've been doing the work, locking up deals, finding distressed sellers, moving papers for those quick flips, then you already know. This game is all about positioning and pivoting. And right now, I want to personally invite you to tap into a powerful way to diversify your wholesaling pipeline. Listen, I've been an Airbnb superhost for nearly 3 years with over 1,800 stays, and I'm consistently at a 4.8 star rating. So I specialize in operating fully optimized cash producing short-term rentals, and I do it 100% remotely. Here's how you can help and team up. You bring the landlord or a STR friendly property, and I'll bring the systems. I'll bring the team, the automation, the listing strategy, and everything we need to turn this space into a revenue generating short term rental. If you've already working closely with property owners, don't stop and just check one. Stack the second stream of income on the same deal through a short-term rental. This isn't about doing more. It's about doing what you're already doing in a smarter way. So if this sounds like a fit, go ahead and hit the schedule link in the post. We'll jump on a quick discovery call. I'll walk you through how the joint venture works and help you identify the next high performing property. You bring the property, I'll handle the rest. Let's JV. This invitation is brought to you by Real Relief Properties. Talk to you soon. Peace and love. Great. All right, peeps. Community, what's your thoughts?
Fire.
Love it. Well
Okay.
done. Well,
So thought moving forward, man, if you guys have multiple Facebook groups that you guys have affinity to, create a script, and OC will tell you, I'm no rocket science, but I do leverage the tool. So I went to my good friend Chat, and I said, Chat, here's what I need you to create. I want you to create a I said, I want you to create a 2-minute video that I can use in so-and-so Facebook group to promote my STR, remote hosting business. What information do you need from me in order to make this task real? And that was my prompt. And it just asked me a bunch of questions, It spit out something, and I refined it, optimized it. And OC, remember the software that I downloaded on Diane's phone when we were in Hawaii last?
yeah. What was the name of it? I forgot.
It was called Caption.
Okay, yep, I remember.
So Caption has evolved now, and Caption now has a AI function. And I believe at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you guys only got the desktop version because you guys didn't have iPhones. You had Androids, right? If I
That's
remember.
correct. That's
Yeah,
correct.
okay. So they may have evolved. But so the AI function now does all of the animation. So I just uploaded the video and they did all of the edits for me. And when I saw it, I said, this is kind of fire. I got to play with this a little bit. So again, one video was ready, 10 videos didn't make prime time. But my thought is only this, the more, the bigger the net, the more fish you can catch. So,
Yeah, you
if
just found out 9 ways that didn't work.
absolutely. So if I have to just generate a video once a month, every 30 days, and just put them in select Facebook groups to see what comes back, who do I have to lose? So, but yeah, that was the thought. My win for the day, strategic business coach, really, gave me some gems, and we are at the top of the hour. So, without further ado, let me just give love, give respect, give appreciation to my audience out there on social media. Uh, as always, be blessed. But OC, what's more important than being blessed?
To be a blessing.
Please be a blessing to others. All right, take care, everybody. Salute, and I'll see you next week, same time.
Salute.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate for jumping in.
Thank you.
Have a great night,
Thank you.
guys. Stay blessed.
All right, bye bye.
Take care, Dr.